Hi, Katie. Hi, James. It's Anthony.
Good morning, Anthony.
Hello.
Hi. We're just waiting. It's almost 10, but we're waiting for Pat to join us. And then she can start the meeting.
So I know you want video, and I've got my video on. So maybe if somebody can see the video, you can tell me if it's okay.
Hold on. I'm enlarging.
I'd have the same question on mine, Anthony.
I'm enlarging my screen.
Thank you.
You look okay to a visually impaired person.
All right. Well, I know you can't improve the picture. It is what it is. But
You get us as you get us, as long as we're in the frame.
Get what you get. Yeah. Thanks.
All right. As long as you're not looking at the top of my head, but you're looking at me.
Hi, Pat. This is Anthony.
Hi there, Anthony. How are you doing?
Hello. Just wanted to let you know James Gasho and Katie is on, and it's 10,
Okay, good.
10 o'clock. You are welcome to start your meeting.
Okay.
Good morning, Pat. It's Katie.
Hi there, Katie. Thank God you and James
Jim Gashel here. Yep.
Gee, I mean, all right. I've got a
quorum. Here we are.
They gave me a very long script that I have to read, so I'll just do it. This meeting of the Statewide Voters with Special Needs Advisory Committee is called to order. It's 10 a.m. on September 23rd, 2022. The meeting is being conducted by video conference and telephone. Committee members, please keep your cameras on for the duration of the meeting. I will now call the roll. I'm aware of the fact that Momoto and Cheryl are not available. And I've already spoken with James and Katie. And so there's three of us on. That's a quorum. We can proceed. Pursuant to HRS 92-3.5, you are required to disclose if anyone is present with you for this meeting. Committee members, is there anyone present with you in this meeting?
Gashel here. The person who is in the same room with me, but on a different Zoom Connect, is Katie Kine.
Okay, great.
And this is Katie, and the same answer is true. There's no one else in the room with us.
Okay, great. Additionally, pursuant to HRS 92-3.7, we will be meeting remotely using interactive conference technology. This meeting is being recorded and will be posted on the Office of Elections website at elections.hawaii.gov shortly after the conclusion of this meeting. As a reminder to the public, your microphone will be muted until you're called upon. Okay, now the next phase is public testimony. I have a suggestion here, and I'm assuming this is legal. Why don't we wait until after we talk about everything and then have people comment? Can we do that, Anthony? Anthony, are you there?
Hi, Madam Chair. This is Reese.
Oh,
From
we,
the AG's office. If you would like public testimony to be related to the agenda, that would be fine. You can take it out of order.
Okay.
I'm assuming that's what you want to do.
yes, I'd like to do that.
Okay,
Thank you.
One thing I do want to remind you too, because we have only 3 members, to go to executive session, we would have needed the 4th member. So I don't think we can go to executive session, but I just wanted to jump in and remind you of that. Okay, thank you.
Okay, why
Chair,
do we,
just to let you know, this is Anthony. Currently, there are no written testimony that was provided.
yeah, I think we need to add promotion of these meetings and advertising of these meetings to the agenda, because clearly we need to let people know we're doing this, or we'll never have anybody attend. So maybe we can talk about that when we get to the point where we can talk. Okay. As technical issues may arise, we'll give each testifier a few minutes to try and resolve any connection issues. However, if the issues cannot be resolved, we will have to move to the next testifier. If you would like to testify, please raise your hand under the reactions on Zoom. If you're joining us by phone, please press *9. When recognized, please unmute your microphone before speaking. You may also turn on your video at this time. For the record, please state your name, your first name, last name, and the items you will be testifying on. For those testifiers joining us by phone, we will have your name and we'll be identifying you by the last 4 digits of your phone number. To ensure that we have sufficient time to hear all testimony, each testifier will have 3 minutes to testify. Once your time has expired, you will be asked to conclude your remarks. Okay. All right. Okay, so now I think we can proceed to the agenda. And the, I have to go back and get the agenda. Sorry about this. I only have, okay. Maybe you could put the agenda on the screen, Anthony. Can you do that for us? I only have 2.
I can work on putting it on the screen. If
Okay.
you follow the script, it's actually on the next item, which is
Oh.
on the script, which was written.
Oh, okay. All right. Fantastic. Okay, we have the discussion of possible action regarding the voter survey is the first item. I had an email from Cheryl this morning, and she said she would only change one thing on the survey. I think somewhere I mentioned the word Hawaiian, and she suggested we use Hawaii instead. So that was the only comment I have for her. Katie or James, do you have any additional comments or suggestions for changes?
Katie Kime. I reviewed it beforehand and have no additional comments at this time, Pat.
Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. Hold on, this thing's talking in my ear. Yeah, I reviewed it and I'm good with the content of the survey. Just would have comments on accessibility of the survey.
Right. I think that's the next thing we have to talk about. Thank you very much. I think, Jim, you and Katie understand why I kept it simple, because I thought that would increase the likelihood that people would be more inclined to fill it out. And so I think we have two issues here. Well, three really. Picking the most accessible platform, dealing with the issue of advertising it and making the link available, and obviously finding somebody to put it on the platform once we select it. I have access to people. I'd like to start with the last point first. I have friends that can do this for us. Does the office elections have the means to do this, or do they have money so I can get somebody to do it for me, or do I have to do it myself? You know, how do we do this?
Well, as far as the committee, there was no funding for the committee. However, if you do, we are able to post the survey to the Office of Elections website. In addition, if you do have a distribution list, depending, we can help with sending out the survey. As far as the creating the survey, we're not, you can figure out what platform that would maybe.
You got to be kidding me. You mean you guys don't have anybody that can do surveys internally? You don't do surveys?
Yeah, we don't normally do surveys.
Okay, so basically, if we want the survey to be created, that's our job, right?
But we are able to assist in distributing it. I know you mentioned that you was going to work on a distribution email list, so we are able to assist with that.
Right. So, all right, I will pursue finding something to do it and see if I can get him to do it for free.
Kate,
Okay, Katie, go ahead.
Kime. Yes, I actually have a question for Reese and Anthony. Having been a past employee of state government, there was always a third-party ability to hire an entity to do surveys in the department I worked in. Do you have such a contracting list specific to what Office of Elections can do or not do? The third party, a contract of that nature?
This is not going to cost hardly anything. I mean, probably like $100 maybe. We're not talking about a lot of money here.
No, but I just meant there are requirements in procurement, Pat, and I only know this 10 years ago working for state government. And in the department I worked with, we had to follow a procurement process, and so for a third-party contract of this nature, because we did do surveys in that department.
The thing that I'm concerned about,
So it's a
Katie, is that if we, okay, if I find somebody to basically do the survey on a platform that we select, and then we give it back to the Office of Elections, you know, is there something
I mean,
that,
posting on their website is what we're talking about, as well as
yeah,
distribution, but I don't know.
see, I
Right,
mean,
and that to me sounds simple, but I just don't know the other rules.
Reese, are we gonna have legal issues? If we go off and get this thing developed, it belongs to the committee. And then you all put it on your
Mhm.
websites, the government is endorsing it or, recognizing it in some way. But there's no ownership by the state government, Reese?
I'm
Yes,
on page with you, Pat. I just don't
Yeah.
know, since we are a statewide entity, we might fall under those
Yeah.
rules.
yes.
That's why I'm asking Reese, not just Anthony.
Yes, again, unfortunately, we don't have enough members to go into executive session where I could discuss this more fully, but I think you raise a valid point that I can't say for sure, but it's possible. There might be some procurement issues, but that has to be looked at right now. And then there's also going to be funding issues, which, I defer to the Office of Election on those issues, but those are not things that, I mean, you all raise valid points, but it's just unclear at this point. Unfortunately,
So how do we get it resolved, Reese? I mean, the point is this, we were what, last year we were authorized to exist. It took us a while to get organized. We've had very few meetings. If we're gonna have any credibility and have any impact in this state, we gotta get our act together. So something like this,
In terms of,
Correct.
this is Anthony, in terms of funding, as far as the survey, we can, I can take note of that question and get back with you.
okay. So now let's move on to, I think Reese and Anthony both know that we want to do this according to state law, or requirements, whatever they are. So Anthony will get back to me at some time in the very near future about how we can proceed in a way that's consistent with law and guidelines. Now, the second question is the most accessible platform, and I have to refer to Jim and Katie to give me advice on that. Which one do you all use the most comfortably?
Yeah, Gashel here. Well, I think, excuse me, I think Survey Monkey works real good. And I'm going on, I haven't responded to too many surveys, but I'm going on National Federation of the Blind uses Survey Monkey. And accessibility has to be a principal factor in how well does a survey instrument work when we choose something like that. And that's what we use. Now, as far, and we can learn more details about if there's any tweaking that needs to be done to post it on SurveyMonkey. I'm sure there's a particular format, but I don't think this would challenge Office of Elections, too much to be able to put the content we give our staff to put it on SurveyMonkey. My guess is that agencies of the state already use SurveyMonkey, but I've never got anything from the state like that to know. I do get it from NFB. Now, other formats. Well, that would be online if we use SurveyMonkey, and I suggest we should. Another format that NFB uses is telephone, because there are people who wouldn't be able to do that online. By the way, going back to the online a second, for anyone who can do it online, this would also provide not only audio, but Braille access with a Braille device. So, so that part would be covered. Now, the telephone access, again, NFB uses a service. It's automated. It's the same content that you would get in the internet version. And I don't know the vendor that provides that. There may be several vendors, but they provide both a toll call and a toll-free access to the same automated survey content that is on SurveyMonkey. And I suggest we could pretty easily do the same thing. In our case, maybe we wouldn't need the toll-free number, because I think anything in the state would be, and I would have to think that Office of Elections would be able to provide access to a number that could contain the automated content for the survey. I just don't see a lot of cost here. The only other thing would be Braille access. There may be hard copy Braille desired. Again, Office of Elections should have, Anthony, I guess, would know this. Office of Elections apparently has the capability of producing hard copy Braille or getting it produced. I believe the notice of this meeting said that copies would be available upon request in Braille or audio format. So Office of Elections has a process apparently for doing that. My guess is that if we were to cover online, which I say is both screen reader and Braille access and telephone access, that we pretty well got it. I can't imagine that there would be more than one or two on demand for hard copy Braille. But then the hard copy Braille reader would still need to provide the input to the survey, and that would have to be done via telephone or online. So those would be my suggestions.
Yeah. Anthony, can you tell us how you all communicate with people that use Braille or would likely prefer a telephone now with other stuff you do?
So Pat, as far as Braille, once the committee has a hard copy of the survey, we are able to reach out to place like the Library of the Blind and get it assisted in transcribing it into a Braille format for us.
Okay.
So that is possible. As far as an additional phone number that would go to a recording, I need more information on that. Is it like a dedicated number, or are you asking for a number that a caller would call into and a live person would assist them?
Yeah, Jim.
No, Gashel here. No, it would be an automated audio survey, Anthony. And you know, I can give you a number that you could sample one, for example, but you're not talking to a live person. You're responding to a very understandable synthetic voice with questions and opportunities to answer. And again, NFB chooses a vendor that provides that. I don't know the name of that vendor, and I'm sure there are several out there. My guess is the price isn't much, and it would take Office of Elections telecommunications people to deploy a particular phone number for a period of time for access to this. Or I suppose what you could do is call the voting number and ask to be connected to the audio survey.
Jim, can you,
I'm not sure of that logistics, but James, if you can get us that information in terms of that audio phone number mechanism, I can actually do a little bit more research on our end and get back with you as far as an additional phone number to
I can definitely find out who that is and get that to you, Anthony. No problem about that, and some idea on the costs of that too.
okay, thank you both. I think I'd like to have these things are going to take time. And so a question I have is for Katie and Jim is, do you think we should be realistic and perhaps issue this or get the survey out after the next election? Because I don't think, given the speed with which we've done things in the past so far, doing it before the election is realistic.
Yeah, Gashel, this is our formative year, I guess I would say, and it happens to be the same year that there's an election going on, and it challenges the Office of Elections to work with us and do their job in terms of the election too. And Pat, I was thinking that the survey, if we need to change some words, but it maybe should relate to respondents' participation in the 2022 election and prior elections, and maybe done after this election. And then, then they really don't have a whole lot of excuse to not be able to work with us, because we've got 2 years until the next election. And I don't have any problem with the idea that we're spending time getting formed this year. And also we've got to get these guys to put aside some money for us to operate in the future. Not a lot of money, but $500 or $1,000 or something like that. I don't know, but I'm sure they probably have a slush fund of some nature. Yeah.
I was interviewed by Senator Rhodes. I asked him about whether there was money for the committee, and he basically said, "Don't worry about that. The Office of Elections will take care of you."
Yeah. Okay. So if it's good enough for Rhodes, it should be good enough for the rest of us.
Right.
That actually was one of my questions as well, Pat, and I would put it to Anthony and his team. What's our budget? So at least we know what we have. Or do we present a bill to you, Anthony, and you pay it? I mean, which way does it go? But I would agree with Mr. Gashel regarding post this election rather than prior. It would be a very premature, and we wouldn't get the substance that we want from the survey, I believe, if we tried to do it before this general election.
Okay, yeah, that was my feeling too. And because I know that when we tried to meet in July, we couldn't meet in July because the office was taxed with getting ready for the primary. Okay, let me review where I think we are and what everybody's going to do, and then we'll go on to the next item. I'm going to explore with my friends. Well, number one, I'm going to change the text in the survey so it refers to past elections in the right way, and send that out to everybody on this phone call. Then I'm going to contact my friends and see whether I have somebody who will develop the survey for us. Reese and Anthony are going to find out how the Office of Election owns this thing and whether there's any legal things we have to do. I think all of us on the call, and I mean all of us, not just Jim and Katie and me, need to look at the list of potential responders that we have out there and start compiling a list. So I would ask everybody to send me their suggested lists, and I'll put them all together for Anthony, so that we can get the information out there. Anthony, once you get the potential telephone survey vendor from Jim, then you will follow up at your end on that. And we will also give you a copy of the survey to check with getting it converted to Braille. So have I left anything out?
Katie Kime, I don't think you have, Pat, but I have a clarification point for Anthony in terms of distribution. You said you have a distribution list or the ability to distribute this survey, and
Hi, Katie.
what group of people is that? Registered voters or what?
Hi, Katie. This is Anthony. At our last meeting, I know you folks were discussing coming up with a distribution list. At the last meeting, you guys mentioned that you guys were going to put together a list. And then, so when I said that we could assist in disseminating, it would be based on your folks' list that you folks came up with.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
So-
That was why I wanted clarification. Thank you.
Well, so it does raise a point on lists. So of course, we have National Federation of the Blind of Hawaii. Ho'opono has a list that would be somewhat larger. Library for the Blind and persons with print disabilities has a list that would probably be the largest list of all and would in many respects duplicate the other two. Wouldn't this be true, Katie? Now, who else has a list?
Well, we don't, Jim,
Yeah.
we don't.
This is Katie.
It's not just blind, so we got to. You're gonna, you've got some other organizations, developmental disabilities. They've got a list.
Katie Kime.
Yeah.
Well, and Jim's bringing up a good point, but I also want to say besides the consumer-run organizations, there are state and federally mandated organizations specific to people with disabilities in different state departments, managed by different state departments. I know developmental disability and mental health have separate committees. I know vocational rehabilitation has it, independent living, and they have their different groupings of individuals and categories of special needs. Again, I don't know, and this would be a question for Reese or Anthony, if those organizations within the state system can be reached out to distribute that in their realm, as well as the outside private consumer organizations of individuals with special needs and disabilities.
Gashel, if I could comment on that subject, because that was about the next place I was headed, and that is for the government agencies and I think also the outside organizations, we shouldn't necessarily expect that anybody is just going to turn over a list to Office of Elections. But what we could expect is their cooperation in reaching out to their constituency or their list. This happens a lot, at least in our community, and I assume
Correct.
it does. I assume it does all over. For example, if we want something distributed far and wide, we go to Ho'opono or Library for the Blind, and you know, they just make it clear that it's our information going out, not the state's, but it goes out to their list. And I see something like the same thing happening here. I'm pretty sure Ho'opono is not going to give their list to Anthony. And
Correct.
same with Library for the Blind. That actually by law they can't. But they definitely do cooperate in distributing things.
Okay,
And
think
that's
this-
what I was referencing, because then Office of Election could reach out to those
Yeah.
state entities as well as the private ones
To
for
answer you guys'
distribution.
questions, I know you guys mentioned that you guys have some places that you guys may already have in mind, that you guys already have email that we may not have already, but we do also have some contacts with other disability communities that you folks already have not mentioned, that we can also reach out to have them disseminate.
Okay, I want to ask a question of Reese. Reese, you know, obviously I have contacts with organizations and contacts with state government. Can I just email them, call them, tell them I'm the chair of this committee and say, we're going to have a survey in the near future and we'd really like your help in distributing it? Is that okay? Can I do that?
Hi, Madam Chair. You know, I think I only hesitate. I know some agencies, as Anthony has mentioned, I mean, there has been inter-agency cooperations, and don't get me wrong, everybody wants to cooperate and try to get it out. As far as, you know, what other consequences there might be for something like that, give me a chance to kind of evaluate that. I'm not saying that it can't be done, but we need to look at who we're sending it to, and there might be other privacy issues too. I don't know what the final product is, so I just want to make sure.
I'm not asking for individual names from my various contacts. I'm asking if once we have the survey, if I, as chair of this committee, and also other members of this committee, can reach out to their contacts and ask them to disseminate to the people they know the survey or the link to the survey. I'm just saying, can we interact with people to facilitate broad distribution of this?
I understand. Let me get back to you on that. I will get back to you very shortly. I just want to make sure we have, you know, we're going to be able to reach out properly and make the right connections. Okay, but I will get back to you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sure. Because now the other thing I was thinking about, Katie and Jim, was that we don't want people to get ticked off because they've been sent the link by 3 different sources. And so I think
Excellent point.
we're trying to build favoritism, you know, people like us here. So I think my inclination, if that that group that you said has everybody's name, Jim, may be the one that we contact for people who have visual impairments or are blind. And then, I'll reach out to, if I can, to Daintree. And the other thing is that I was going to reach out, just generally speaking, to the Hawaii Disability Rights Center, because they have an obligation under the Help America Vote Act to do everything to make any voting accessible. And I want to find out what they're doing and let them know what we're doing, and maybe allow us to coordinate. Reese, they're not a state government agency. They're an independent, federally funded outfit. They've been around for a long time, and voting accessibility is one of their things. They have like 7 other things they have to do. Okay. So between now, here's what we're going to do. Between now and the next time we meet, we'll all informally reach out to people and just let them know what we're doing. I mean, that can't be illegal, and give them a heads up. And then we can talk about, who we talk to, and keeping in mind, we don't want to overload people who are blind or can't see well, with 5,000 surveys at some point. So think about that. And let's see, what was the other? I guess that was it. Yeah. But I really.
I was going to say, Pat, if I could, of course, Office of Elections has a list of anyone who considers themselves a voter with special needs who has registered as such. So I'm on that list as an example. So they have that list, which, we don't have a clue how many are on that list, but they have that list that they can clearly outreach to. They can, the Office of Elections, in addition to a list.
So in terms of that particular list, that's actually belongs to the counties. So in terms of voter registration and the dissemination of the electronic ballot and ballot packets belongs to each of the counties. So we don't have access to that information.
Well, you could have. There are only 4 counties, so it wouldn't be that hard, or we could outreach, Pat, to the counties. Let's not be too bureaucratic here. We can get this list. It exists whether it's in the counties or at the state.
I asked Nedeline for the names of the people on the committees in the counties, and she sent me their emails. So I will ask them, I will alert them to what we're doing, ask them to become involved, send them a copy of the survey, and see if they can facilitate us getting the list. I guess, see, in the back of my mind here is, how are we gonna, we need to be organized as we see, so we can't just, do we want to, as a group, compile a list of all the people that are going to be contacted, and then give that list to Anthony and ask the Office of Elections to contact the people on that list? That's more organized. Or do we want to divide it up? Let's talk about the process here a little bit.
Okay, I'm suggesting a somewhat divided up process, because I think what we should be doing is, well, 2 things: outreaching to organizations. That's one thing. And all of us have organizations that we can outreach to. And we can get the organizations, government or non-government, to cooperate in disseminating to their constituencies. But the other thing that we can do is within the Office of Elections, state or county, we can get them to distribute to the registered voters who are voters with special needs. And the other thing we can do is Office of Elections puts public information out. I get it all the time on YouTube or on television or various methods that the Office of Elections has. Scott Nago goes on the radio, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And for a period of time, whenever this survey is open, the Office of Elections should do a lot of public outreach. They have a PR crew that does all these things that I just mentioned and more that I don't even know about. And they should promote this survey and how you get at it and how you participate in it. That we shouldn't just rely on our different organizations, but there should be some public outreach. It will generally help the whole mission of election accessibility for them to do this.
Okay, got it. So the bottom line, or the assumption underlying all this part of the conversation, is that we're going to use a shotgun approach to get the word out to as many people as possible. We're assuming that SurveyMonkey is going to be able to compile all our information for us so we can look at it. We're going to do the survey after the election. Oh God, there was something else I thought, and then it went out of my mind completely. Okay. Reese, how fast can you get back to me on the two issues? One is us informally letting our friends know or our contacts know about what we're doing, and just generally ask for their help. And two, the ownership of the survey. The fact that this is a product of the Office of the Elections. What the deal is on that. How fast can you get back to me on that?
Katie Klein, Pat. I think it.
Hello.
Sorry.
Yeah,
Katie
I
Klein.
probably get back to you probably by Monday.
Okay, great. That'd be fantastic. Okay, I know this is supposed to last only an hour, but we might run over a little bit. But this has been very helpful for me. I appreciate everything that everyone has shared. And I'm going to sit down and make a to-do list for myself after I get off the call. Now, the next item on our agenda, number 5, is discussion and possible recommendation regarding voting on electronic ballot. And I think Jim, you were the one that raised the issue of what happens to it and how is it protected and that sort of thing. So you want to basically summarize what your concern was again, so we have it on the record.
Was that a question for me or who was that for?
Yeah, that was for you.
Oh, okay. Okay, thanks. No, I think my concern isn't really what happens to the info, because I think I'm clear on that. And I believe Anthony would confirm the information goes to the county, and the county counts your ballot the same as they count any other ballot. So I'm satisfied that everything is in the process is very secure as if you go to a voting machine or you mail in your ballot or whatever you do. I have no problem with that. my concern in asking to have this subject on the agenda is this. I think we have a process for casting an electronic ballot that is a legal process. I think it fits what the law says. I think the technology design is more complicated than it should be, and complicated enough that it can be off-putting to people who don't have the technology or technical skills to do everything that is required. Now, this may be partly an age thing, because I have noted that people who are 18 do better with some of these processes than those of us who are 75 can do. But the Office of Elections has to take this into account in designing technology. Again, I don't think we can do anything about this before the upcoming election, and it works. There's no question that it does work. This is the primary election this year was the first time we had a chance to use the electronic ballot return under the new law that was passed in 2021. And it does work. Partly it's a matter of getting used to. I did this in the primary, and I suppose it took me about 45 minutes to get my ballot returned. The marking the ballot's no problem. It's a pretty easy and straightforward file to do. The return process isn't as clear and has more steps to it than I think it needs to have. And so I'm hoping that after the November election, that we keep on our agenda this subject of the electronic ballot return, and continue to work with the Office of Elections to design a simpler process. I believe, I'm just about done here, but I believe that the way we do it now is that we contract with Twin Cedars, which is a company in Oregon, to provide the electronic HTML format ballot. And I believe they do the same thing for uniform and overseas voters. And that's good. And that ballot works very well. The return part has been designed by the techno wizards in the Office of Elections here. That's fine. There are commercial products. I don't know all the names of them. Democracy Live is one that I know of, and there are several others that do this in other states. So I think that on our future agenda, we should continue to have discussions and get information about the electronic ballot return, and possibly have a session or sessions where we interview vendors that do this in other states. I can't name all the states that do this, but some of them. West Virginia is definitely one. I think New Hampshire is in that area. Nevada, I won't go into all those details, but I'm just saying there are states out there that are doing this. I think we do a pretty good job. Don't get me wrong. I think I would commend what the Office of Elections has done in this area. I just think we need to make it simpler, and we need to keep this on our radar until we get it that way.
Okay, so from a calendar perspective, when would you like to have these conversations? Like next year or like this year or what? You're muted. You're muted. I
If we
can't-
get down to, yeah, I'm with you. If we get down to future meetings, sure, I'm good with meeting later on this year, like December into
Okay.
next year. I haven't thought that part through, but I guess after the election, I really don't doubt, Pat, whether we can accomplish too much short term. I think our emphasis should probably be on the survey
Yeah.
as a
That's
really
my-
important point.
That's my personal feeling, that if we want to put a footprint out there for the world to see, we can do it through the survey. I'm all for what you want to do, but I think it makes sense that it won't have an impact until 2 years from now. We could postpone this till after we get the survey done. But
Yeah.
maybe in the interim, you could send to Anthony the information you have about a couple of these vendors that are doing it right. So he can at least have that in his file, so that when we do decide to invite them to share information with us, he'll have that information, you know?
Yeah, we can do some gathering on that.
Okay, great. Okay, the next item, I'm sorry, is drilling. I hope you all can still hear me. Anyway, oh, God, is the name of the committee. And I'm assuming you want to change it to voters with disabilities as opposed to voters with special needs. Tell you how I feel about this. I had a long conversation with Rhodes when I was being interviewed, and you know, he was trying to be politically correct and inclusive, you know, that he didn't have any weird agenda. And as I thought about it, I thought about, okay, there's a lot of people who are just basically old with impairments, as well as people with disabilities that we all know and live with. And so, you know, it didn't bother me so much about leaving the name vague. But if you all we can't do anything about it to the next session anyway, but if you all want it changed to another name, I'm open to that too. And I'll be glad to talk to Senator Rhodes about changing it, you know. Katie?
Katie, you want to talk?
Katie, you want to go first?
Am I unmuted now?
Oh, now, yeah.
Okay, sorry about that. I thought I was unmuting, not muting myself. I know that in a prior meeting, we discussed that we'd all prefer to change the term special needs to disability or accessibility. And I think that it's an important part of our getting the word out there to the public about the accessibility of the election process for individuals who don't use a print ballot specifically or other formats. But there's a variety of ways I think we could say it. I actually prefer the term accessibility over disability. That's a personal choice. I think it's more inclusive, and it looks to the future of the electronic voting for everybody, even though this committee is specific to individuals with disabilities where we need to stay focused. So I've kind of tossed it around a little bit with Jim, and I talked to other people in the disability community, but Jim, at some point, if you want to chime in here, go for it. But I'm sort of throwing on the table the Elections Accessibility Advisory Committee, but it has to have statewide in it because we're very specifically a statewide committee as different from one of the county committees. Jim, do you
I
want to
was going to
throw in? I
say,
know you have the voice. Thoughts on this too?
I was going to say, I think I remember this being very briefly discussed at maybe our second meeting. This is our third meeting. And I think we, at that time, said we would want to have this on the agenda for a future meeting. So now's the time. Now, am I muted? Hello?
No, you're not. I can hear you.
I think
Okay, good. My memory of that very brief discussion was that our other two colleagues on the committee we didn't talk about the specifics of the name, but nobody really liked the term special needs. We thought we could do better than that. My knowledge of this is that the term special needs predates the 2021 amendments, which created this committee. Voters with special needs has been used by the Office of Elections, and I believe in our law, and also voters needing assistance has been used in our law. Going back to 2019, when the vote by mail law was passed. And I just think we should try to get this right now. I'm kind of with Katie about election accessibility, and it's more than just voting. It's also registering. It might be signing up as a candidate, all kinds of things that have to do with elections. So I really like probably the idea of statewide election accessibility advisory committee, something like that. And the law already defines who can serve on the committee. I wouldn't change what the law says about that. I would just hope to change the name. I would like to see this, Madam Chair, as a recommendation to the Office of Elections, or a request to the Office of Elections that they include this in any package that they are going to submit to the legislature. I agree, we could ask Senator Rhodes to do it, and maybe we should do it that way. The committee should do it that way, but I think we should also request the Office of Elections to include this in any legislative package that they submit for the 2023 session.
Okay, you want to say that in the form of a motion, and I'll second it, and then we'll all vote. And
Okay, I move that the statewide special needs advisory committee request the Office of Elections to ask the legislature for an amendment changing the name of the statewide voters with special needs advisory committee to statewide election accessibility advisory committee, and that this be proposed for the 2023 session of the legislature.
I second the motion. Is there any discussion? Okay, all in favor?
no discussion.
Okay, no discussion.
Approve. Katie Kime.
Okay,
Aye. Gashel votes aye.
Morrissey votes aye.
Katie?
Kime voted yes.
Okay, great. Thank you
So
very much.
for the record,
Am I-
you have
Am I muted
three.
again?
No, you're
Am
not.
I? being
Nope.
heard now?
Yes, you are. Okay. Now, the last item on our agenda is the status report from the Office of Elections on all the things we asked for in previous meetings. So Anthony, the floor is yours.
Hi, Pat, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. Recommendations received from the committee at the July 1st, 22 meeting were the committee recommended including accessible voting information on the statewide special needs advisory committee webpage. Our office has posted information on voting options that includes voting by mail and voting at a voter service center using Verity Touch
Anthony, are you still there?
Hold on. I just got muted for some reason. Hold on. Am I there now?
Yes.
Okay. So, including accessible ballot marking device. We have included a video on how to vote on the Verity Touch electronic ballot information, which covers receiving, marking, and returning an electronic ballot. We have also included a demo of a demonstration electronic ballot. We also included contact information for the committee for the public to submit questions and comments. We also included contact information to request to be added to a mailing list to receive meeting notice. We also included a link to Hawaii Revised Statute, which references the committee. The second recommendation, the committee recommended improving the user experience, voting on an electronic ballot. We have brought this to our vendor and we will work with them to explore options to implement for the 2024 elections. The third recommendation, the committee recommended including accessible voting information with the Office of Elections General Marketing and voter education. Information about accessible voting is included with our outreach materials such as voter education presentation provided to the community in our e-newsletter and Hawaii Votes video series. In our Hawaii Votes brochure and explainer video, and in editorial pieces submitted to outlets such as the state library and other state and departments to disseminate within their networks. Information for voters to inquire about accessible voting options is included with our general education print ads and will be published in newspapers statewide. It will also be included in any press releases as social media postings. That's my report.
Thank you.
Gashel?
Go ahead.
I
Go
was
ahead.
going to say, yeah, thanks. Thank you, Anthony. That's a good summary of things that have been done, and believe it or not, we're having some impact. That said, Anthony, I hope you'll record the statement that at least one member of the committee, Gashel, feels that what's been done in the area of public promotion is not enough. When we discuss this idea, and I'm speaking particularly about the public promotion, my concept, I don't know about the other committee members, they can speak for themselves, but my concept was that every piece of advertising about elections would at some point mention at least a sentence about voters with disabilities, see blah, 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 some reference. Now, I agree with the statement that some information has been distributed. For example, I've seen YouTube presentations about voting, voters with special needs. And in the series on Hawaii Votes, I've seen one event or episode in the series about voters with special needs. When I suggested including this information in the promotional activities, in addition to having a specific episode or YouTube segment or whatever about voters with special needs, my thought was that at least in every other piece of advertising, there could be a very brief sentence for information about voters with special needs, see blah, 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 like our webpage, for example, or something like that. So that this information is put into the face of the public whenever the Office of Elections mentions voting.
I agree with Jim. I don't know how to explain the power of adding a simple sentence on everything, because that way it lets the public know that you take voters with special needs seriously, that you are inclusive, and it also opens the door for people with people without disabilities to share that information and that visibility with their friends and family members with disabilities. So it's a simple thing, but the power of it is so enormous. And I've seen it done in many, many contexts. And I can tell you, it's just like if you notice President Biden, now he is adding, whenever he gives a list, people with disabilities. He didn't do that a year and a half ago, but now he's doing it because somebody got to him and said, you're leaving out, you're disenfranchising, 54 million people by not mentioning them in any list you give. So, I mean, I can't emphasize enough the power of some reference to this committee and what we all are trying to do together being added to whatever you put out. And so, if you want me to send an email to your boss to encourage them to send out a message to everybody doing stuff, I'll be glad to do it. But if it's done, it'll have an impact.
Katie
I will make
Kime, I would
a-
absolutely agree with what Pat and James said. And having brought it up and addressed it specific to Office of Elections, just in some of the material I received as a voter electronically, and it wasn't in there, was a great disappointment to me. And that's a very small picture of what all of us are talking about compared to the greater scope of what Jim and Pat have already addressed and the power of a simple line. So I absolutely agree with that statement.
Yeah. And
Hello,
is-
Pat.
yeah,
This is Anthony. I will definitely make a note of that, and I will continue to share that with the office. And yes, we will definitely look at ways to publicize and to promote.
yeah.
Um,
The point, Anthony, the word that you need to use for them, this is not a add-on. This is a inclusion effort. We are part of the Hawaiian community, and so referencing us is a very good thing to do. And you're not only affecting anybody who's not a kapuna, but everybody who is a kapuna who may have limitations. So it's like it's good promotion for you all too, because you're saying we want everyone to vote. We welcome everybody to vote. We care about your being able to vote. So it's good PR for your office as well.
That note is very well taken and will again be shared. And as noted in my report, we will be having a statewide ad, which also takes note in regards to referencing. If you have accessibility questions, yes, definitely to contact our office.
That's great. That's great.
Katie Kime, Pat,
Go ahead, Katie.
but specific to this point and statement, thank you. Specific to this point, Anthony, I know that a lot of the material comes out of the county offices and would like to ensure that this committee's statement is made to the other committees in those offices, because some of the material I receive as a voter is obviously not coming statewide in that promotion of accessibility is an option for individuals who are electing to register and vote. So somehow I'd like to ensure that that gets to the county offices as well.
Katie,
Yeah.
this is Anthony. We will definitely take note of this, and we will definitely share this with the counties.
Great. That's fantastic. And I appreciate your report.
Great, thank you.
You know, we're pioneers here. We're trying to, bring about change. It's not easy. So everybody's efforts, I greatly appreciate them. I want to bring up a
Thank you
topic
very
of,
much.
I want to bring up a topic of that I think makes sense. Would it be okay to invite the chairs or a representative from the county committees to our next meeting so that they get a sense of what we talk about and what we're doing, just as a way to connect with them and let them know we are a partner and a resource?
I'm definitely good with that. In fact, maybe we should recommend, I'll make a motion that we request the Office of Elections in circulating information about all future meetings of the statewide Voters with Special Needs Advisory Committee, that the members, chairman and members of the county committees are invited to attend our meetings, receive the notices, and are invited to attend our meetings.
I second it. Is there any discussion? Hearing no discussion, let's have a vote. I vote yes.
Gashel votes aye.
Keim votes yes.
Okay, I apologize. I should mention my name every time. Okay, the vote carries, so that'll be great. I think that makes so much sense.
Chair, I will note that recommendation and note that all three voted aye. As a note, we will definitely can send the agenda to the different counties. One other note that the chair of the city and county elections accessibility special needs advisory committee, Donald Sakamoto, is here also present.
Oh, okay, great. Okay, are there any other other items people want to bring up or add to the agenda for next time?
Gashel here.
Yes,
I just what I wanted to ask about, this has partly, I guess, been covered under Anthony's report, but it seems to me that we should have, and maybe the state law regarding meetings requires this, Reese could perhaps speak to this, but we should have a formal process where minutes are kept, and that the advisory committee probably begins each meeting by formally adopting or amending the minutes of the previous meeting. Now, in this case, Anthony made a report, which looks to me like it kind of almost qualifies as minutes for our two previous meetings, but I don't think we have a formal process in place for minutes. And it seems to me that the law may require us to have, but we need, Madam Chair, it seems, and I think this is the Office of Elections would be responsible for keeping the minutes and distributing those minutes as they do with the agenda. Am I correct on this, Reese?
Hello, Commissioner. Yes, that's correct. And the chair could put a notation on the next agenda for approval of minutes.
Okay, so from now on, somebody's gonna have, well, in this case, they would look at the video and make a formal set of minutes, correct?
Correct. The Office of Elections provides the administrative support in that regard.
Okay, okay, great, great. Now I know that the election is coming up the first week in November. And that you guys will be very busy between now and then. Can we schedule a meeting in October? So we can at least review what we've accomplished between now and then? Or is that unrealistic? I'd rather know that now.
We can reach out to the committee and look at possible availability for October. If you had an idea of a week, we can again reach out to the committee and see what about their availability.
Yeah. Let me look at the calendar and I can tell you what I think makes sense. Okay, I'm looking at October. How about, would it be unrealistic to say Friday, the 21st of October as a possibility? Or sometime that week?
Katie Kime,
Sure.
Katie Kime. Pat,
Yeah.
I know my availability will not be at all between approximately October 12th and November 16th.
Oh, wow.
I will be abroad. I'll be
Oh,
abroad. So
okay.
I'm not even able to hook into Zoom
Yeah.
for where I'll be.
So maybe we should aim for.
I mean, I'd be happy to meet earlier, but
Yeah. Well, I mean, we have to have a few weeks to get our act together and do the things we said we were going to do.
correct, correct. But that's why I thought I better speak up now because, and I'm
Well,
only one of a 5-person committee, but
I know, but the committee's small and, you know, we got to have everybody there. So the election is what? The
yes.
8th of November. Why don't we try for November 18th? Are you back by then, Katie? Katie?
I apologize. I didn't hear the date. My sound kind of blanked.
Oh,
Repeat that, Pat. I apologize.
On November 18th.
18th of November
Yeah, I mean, that's
or 18th of October. I'm
18th of November. I think, well, let's see. All right.
I'm good with November 18.
Yeah, that gives us time to get our act together and get things done and compile lists. And I'll send you all emails one at a time. Okay,
I have commitments in the morning that I cannot change, but the afternoon is
okay. So let's have, it'll be great to have an afternoon meeting on that day. So if Jim's not surfing or something, you know.
Yeah, sorry about that.
I can
No,
reach
I'm
out
good.
to the members and send an email to check
Okay.
availability for that date. And
Great.
if not, maybe an alternate date, maybe
Yeah.
that week or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can reach out.
This way we're giving everybody plenty of notice, and that's good. Okay, is there anything else that we need to talk about at this point?
Did you want to go back to public testimony? As
Oh,
you mentioned?
Yes, absolutely. I apologize. So how do we proceed with that, Anthony? Do we just ask if there's any, or
Yes, Madam Chair, you may ask if there's any testimony from the public.
Okay.
Currently, you have 2 raised hands, Madam Chair.
Oh, fantastic, fantastic. Okay, I don't have access to the raised hands. So,
The first raised hand is Donald Sakamoto.
okay, Donald, would you like to proceed?
Good afternoon. I think it's good morning, Chair and committee members. Donald Sakamoto. I'm the chair for Honolulu County Special Needs Election Voter Committee. I just want to comment on some things that were said about the things in the agenda. Concerning the survey, it's wonderful that you're doing the survey, but I have some issues with the county and would like to have the survey to review, like you folks would share with the other county members of the groups. I would like to add some things. Concerning the accessibility for electronics technology, I'm legally blind. I belong to the NFP of Hawaii affiliate. I talked to Jim Gasho about this. It's accessible, you know, the electronic vote. I had no problem, like Jim said, doing the application ballot. But the attachments were difficult. I had to have somebody do it for me, a nephew. We had one person who was also blind, senior. She couldn't do it. She was so frustrated. She had to have her caregiver do it. And the caregiver didn't complete the whole thing. She said, where's the OHA elections voting process on the ballot? And the person said, there's nothing on OHA. So she took the word of the person, folded the ballot, the mail-in ballot, put it in the envelope, put it in another envelope, signed it and sent it off. But she said, when she learned that there was OHA persons to vote for, she won't do the election for 2024. She'll do the general this year, but this is it. She was kind of frustrated. So that's the kind of issues that were brought to my attention. And other people I know who are blind, who are not akamai in technology to do it, had issues to attaching the secrecy waiver ballot, and I mean letter and the ballot. So hopefully we can straighten that out. And then concerning the accessibility for getting the word out to the counties, I agree that you folks did something good to get the word to us. And I thank Anthony Akamine. I called him a couple of days ago. He gave me the flyer notice, and I got an email blast to all my contacts to let them know about the meeting today. So I noticed there's some people that were on the Zoom that I know that I sent the email blast out. So, and then I did send an email blast to one of the radio stations, and he didn't know about it. So it's a talk radio here in Hawaii, and we had a discussion. I think it was on Wednesday about it. So I got the word out that way for the people to come on. So, but kudos for your committee, and we just got to do better for the next election coming up in 2024. Famous quote, by failing to prepare, you're preparing to fail, by Benjamin Franklin. So we have to prepare for the future of accessibility for voting for special needs, or in this case, for persons who are disabled or have other disabilities. And then my favorite COS, communication is very important. Organizing, like you said, is very important. And then finding solution. That's what I do with my group when I'm out in public speaking at the city council, legislature, or any place that deals with communication, organization solutions. And my final thing is, as a son of a 442nd veteran, he's a soldier, their motto, go for broke, move forward and get the job done. So kudos for you folks. I commend for you for what you do. And kudos for the state elections office for what they do on their part too. Thank you for letting me speak.
Thank you so very much. You were the first person to testify before this committee, and we hope that you will attend all future sessions as well, because I think it's very important that we hear from people beyond the five of us in what we're attempting to do. And I think the survey, although it's a simple survey, a short survey, it will give us a lot of information about what people are experiencing, and hopefully give us some guidance as to how we can make things better. Because when it comes to life and the quality of your life, your vote is a very essential item in your life's experience. And we will make sure everybody can vote. Thank you so much.
Madam
And-
Chair, we have several other,
Okay.
next one is
Okay.
Brian Nip.
Okay, Brian?
Hi, I think I'm unmuted now. Hi, I'm Brian Mick. I'm with the Disability and Communication Access Board. I just actually wanted to raise a procedural concern regarding public testimony. And this, I think, has been causing confusion for lots of boards and commissions that I've seen. Of course, the law was amended so that you couldn't take all the public testimony at the beginning of meetings. And I think what a lot of boards and committees have been doing is taking it all at the end, which also is not allowed. If you look at the Sunshine Law guidance on OIP's website, it says the board or committee must hear the testimony on a given agenda item prior to its consideration of that agenda item. So before the board or committee begins discussing, certainly before it takes any votes, it has to hear from the public, because the point of the public testimony is to inform the board or committee's discussion among the members. So just wanted to bring that up for future meetings.
Thank you, Brian. I asked for permission to take testimony at the end because we obviously didn't have anything of substance yet that we could talk about until today. And that's why I asked our lawyer, who is part of this meeting, to advise me, and he advised that I could do it at the end. But now I've learned an important thing, and I'll make sure that we have public testimony at the beginning. Thank you.
The next testifier phone number ends in 1606.
Okay, 1606, go ahead.
Phone number 1606.
Thank you.
You're
I'm unmuted now. Thank you. My name is Deborah Brayman, and I'm just calling to also say that I am totally blind, and I had a difficult time completing the attachments for the voting as well. And I just would like to mention that. So whatever you guys are doing to work on this, thank you for your efforts. I really appreciate it. No, I appreciate the time and effort you're putting into it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. That gives us motivation.
Madam Chair, there's no other testimony.
Okay.
No other hand raised.
Okay. I want to thank the three of you who joined us today. That makes me feel better. Hopefully we'll have 10 next time, and after that, maybe 20, and who knows? In a year, we'll have to be up to 100. Voting is very important. And I want to thank Katie and Jim and Anthony and Reese for making this all possible so that we could proceed. And I'm looking forward to our next meeting. And anyone who was on the testifying side today, if you want to contact me with any of your thoughts, my email is really simple. It's P as in Paul, A as in Apple, T as in Tom, M is in Marshmallow, O as in Orange, R as in Ralph, at AOL.com, no caps. And so I take this committee very seriously, and potential is exciting, and I'm hoping we can accomplish a lot. And so with that, I think I'll call this meeting to adjournment.
Yeah, move to, if we need a motion, I'll move to adjourn.
Okay, thank you.
Just wanted to
Time
add,
seconds
if they
that.
wanted to share information, they can go contact elections@hawaii.gov, and we definitely can forward it to the committee.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Aloha.